Your friends who didn't set their clock forward this morning. So just send them a friendly text that just says, "Wake up!" Okay, exclamation mark. Can you do that? Everybody just text one of your friends right now. Or you can put it on Facebook. Take a picture, put it on Facebook. 2-minute mission trip. Okay, just love on them. Good stuff. Hey, we got something new here. We've got brand new connection cards. We're now going to be calling these connection cards instead of communication cards. We're going to be calling them connection cards. It's got a new design, and these will be changing periodically, all right? So like this one actually has a place where you can check off Women's Book Club, Man Fire, I'm a Christian, which is a series that the children are going to be doing on Wednesday nights. And that starts this Wednesday. It's going to be a 7-week Wednesday night series, and there's something for everybody. We'll be having Man Fire. So while the men are outside eating meat with their hands and grunting, the women will be inside having a Bible study, praying for the men outside. And then the children will be learning about what it means to be a Christian. So it's going to be a great time. And the youth ministry will be in here stuffing marshmallows in each other's mouths, something like that. So actually don't. That's dangerous. So that's going to be going on. So check that off. And at the end of the service, put that in the brown basket when it comes by. If you're a guest this morning, please use this, okay? And if you're a regular, like Chad Seymour, I'm going to pick on you this morning. Like Chad Seymour, he's an elder here. But is his information updated on our database? No. How do I know? Because we try to call him this week based on his information on CCB, which is called Church Community Builder. And that's our online directory. Our own elder doesn't have his right cell phone number on our database. So what does that mean? That means you probably don't either, okay? And I know I hate filling stuff out, but listen, we cannot disciple you, care for you. We can't maintain the movement if we don't have accurate information. So please take time each week to make sure that you fill it out. Give us your name, email, cell phone carrier, so that we can update the database and keep that accurate so we can communicate with each other, okay? We just got to have it, and that's what we do. And let me have Lauren. Lauren, would you stand up real quick? Let everybody see. Miss Lauren, yes, give it up. Miss Lauren she is in training. Actually, you're very excited about it. Thank you. I know, she's amazing. We're very excited about Lauren because Lynn, where's Lynn at? Lynn, yes, stand up, Lynn. Yes, Lynn. Now, I know you guys look at Lynn, you think she's this sweet lady. She's been verbally abusive to me. And I finally just had about all I could take. So I was like, Lauren, would you come help me out here? No, so Lynn is transitioning. Lynn's amazing. You guys, give it up for Miss Lynn, right? She's been incredible. So Miss Lynn is transitioning towards the children's ministry because Vester, our children's leader, has been mad at me because he told me, he said, you stole my wife. That's bad when the pastor steals somebody's wife. So he says, I want her back. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll get Lauren. So anyway, so Lauren comes in, and now she's transitioned. So Lauren is going to be taking the admin role, and Lynn's going to be shifting more towards the children's ministry for her and Vester to work as a team, because that's really where Lynn's heart is. Lynn took this as an interim because she saw me drowning in all the details, because I'm not a detail guy. So we're so excited about that. So that's what's going on there. If you see Lynn and Lauren's come to you, you're like, who are you? It's because she's taken that role and getting us organized and so forth. So we're excited about that. Now, in the chairs, you came in. Somebody won a championship last night. I don't know if anybody was paying attention or not. Somebody like up in the hills of North Carolina. Nobody? Am I the only? I see a nod. That's as good as an amen. I'm getting I'll take that. I see a few light blue colors in here, but I'm just going to say I bleed Carolina blue. I grew up in North Carolina, and back in the 80s with Michael Jordan playing for the Hills. Oh my goodness, those were the best days. We'll never have that again, right? It was incredible. So I love the Hills, and they won the ACC championship last night. That's very important that we talk about that this morning. That's like holy ground. So we got our Easter offering. I'm so excited about our Easter offering this year, even more so than normal. I'm always excited about it, but this year I'm really excited about it. Here's why, because Guys, we're only a year and a half old as a church plant, and we're already able to help another church plant. How exciting is that? Yeah, it's amazing. And we're going to be supporting a new Hispanic church plant in the area, and multiple other churches in the area are also giving towards that as well, because we want to see that succeed. So 5% of our offering, of the Easter offering, is going to go towards that. Another 5% is going to go towards a ministry in Dawsonville called New Name Counseling and Training Center. Anybody in here been to New Name Ministry before? I have. I've been to New Name Ministry. They've counseled me, discipled me. I still go there occasionally for, like a checkup, and it's just a great ministry. So we send people there all the time. I mean, they say that their phone rings off the hook. I'm like, great. And so we want to support them because not everybody that goes can afford it, and they don't really turn anybody away. So we support that ministry so that people that go that can't afford to pay the fees for the sessions, we give to make sure that they can still take care of their ministry, but still take care of people that maybe can't pay as much as they require. I think they operate like a sliding scale, so it's really cool. So please be praying about that. And then the last part of the offering, 90% offering, is going to go to here in this ministry, which is for the entire community as well, for our HVAC. Last summer, I did a wedding in here, and it was 85 degrees. And I had on a suit and tie. I know, it was like, shoot me. I was handing out sweet tea. It was the fastest wedding I've ever done in my life. It was amazing. So we want to make sure that we improve our HVAC system. Our system is 22 years old, and it's a chiller system, which is a very good system, but it needs to be slowly updated. So we have a master plan with phases. Phase 1 is going to be adding a 5-ton unit there and a 5-ton unit back in there. You won't see them. To add 10 new tons of brand new HVAC to assist the chillers this summer, so that even if the chillers, struggle some this summer, we'll have 10 new tons. That's okay. To keep that going. So that's what that's about, all right? And we're excited about that. So be praying about what you're going to give to the Easter offering. I'm excited about giving to it this year and going to be giving a lot to that as well. Now, for our series, this is the last Sunday of our series, Transformed. We've been getting a lot of great feedback. I've been hearing a lot of life change. Many of you have been talking about how this has affected your life, and transformation's been happening. So remember our theme verse for this series. Who remembers our theme verse for this series? Anybody know what it is? It is in the Bible. That's good. What? Way to go, Donald. Yes. Give it up for Donald. Yeah. Romans 12:2. And he shared the second part of it. It starts by saying, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world. Here it is right here. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but what? But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Why? Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So knowing and understanding God's will is really hard if you're not thinking right. So the beginning of transformation is to think the way God thinks, to be transformed, the renewing of your mind. You're not going to know God's will unless you start thinking God's way. And that's where we mess up a lot. So that's the theme verse. Now, today we're going to be concluding with talking about career and life and work. So when you came in, there was that chalkboard out there that said, what is your dream job? So right now, just yell out to me, real loud. Think for a second. If you could do anything you wanted to make a living, if you got paid to do it, what would be that thing? Okay, seriously? Oh my gosh. Sleep. All right, something, like helpful to society at least, okay? All right. On 3, say it as loud as you can. Your dream job. 1, 2, 3. No. That was great. Mine would be like NBA basketball, you know what I'm saying? Get paid to play basketball would be incredible. Okay, very cool. So here's the thing about dreaming. It's a gift from God. Did you know that what makes you unique, what separates you from the rest of God's creation, is your ability to dream? No other creation, no other part of God's creation can do that. Animals can't do that. There's been so much studies done about chimpanzees and monkeys, and look, they're like us, and yeah, there's some similarities. But a chimpanzee doesn't walk onto a piece of property and imagine something that's not there and then be able to lay out how it's going to happen and make it come true. You see, the fact that you are creative makes you like God. That's why God said He created you in His image, because only human beings can dream. Only human beings can walk into a room like this and see a bunch of chairs and go, you know what? If we stack those chairs up like this, we can make this big pyramid, and then we could have these tunnels going through, and then you could actually do that. No, animals can't do that. They don't think that way. Because you were created by a creator, and because God is creative, you were creative. Einstein himself said that probably the most powerful thing in the world is imagination. And it's what makes you like God. See, what makes God God is He was able to look and see that there was nothing and create something out of nothing. What makes us like God is that we can see something and create something out of that wasn't there before. You know, developers are great at this, right? A developer walks into a piece of property and they see this property and they just begin to imagine what could be here. You know, there's new families coming into our area and we need new homes. And they look at this land and they go, look, we could put a house here and the septic system could go here and the water line could go here. And they can imagine things above ground and below ground, how this is all going to be laid out. There's no animal that can do anything remotely close to that. You're not an animal. You're not like the animals. You are unique. You are God's most prized, holy creation. You're like Him in that you can be creative. I think it's when we're most like God is when we are creative. You know, I love, all my kids have this creative, piece of them. And my son Brady is probably the most creative that we've experienced so far. And he gets these ideas. He'll come into the house and he'll put everything down and he goes straight to my shop out back. And I hear things going and I'm cringing, right? I'm thinking, okay, is he going to cut his finger off? Am I going to be able to find any of my tools when he gets done? Are things going to be broken? And he comes out with something that didn't exist before. And it's so cool to watch him create these things. He'll just take these little knickknacks of things that he finds around the house and around the property, and he comes out with something very usable and useful, and many times it's a piece of art. And it's really cool to experience that. Imagine a world without art. Imagine a world without creativity. Imagine a world without imagination. It wouldn't be worth living, would it? And see, here's the thing. If you don't have a dream for your life, if you're not working towards something bigger than you and bigger than your life, you're just drifting. And you're letting life happen to you instead of you happening to life. And everybody misses out until you get a dream in your heart of what you want your life to be and what you want to accomplish and where you want to go. And it's got to be bigger than you. It's got to be better than you. It's got to be about other people. Because you're not going to want to get out of bed in the morning. You're going to find yourself in this place, and 5 years down the road, you're going to wake up and go, well, here we go again, and here's this next thing. And I know we got to pay our bills. We got to pay the rent. We got to work. I get that. But there's still got to be something bigger than just paying the bills. There's got to be something bigger than just raising kids. There's got to be something bigger than that. There's got to be a dream in your heart. And if you don't have that dream, then pray and start asking God, God, give me a dream. God, give me something more. Show me what I'm really here for. Show me how all of this works. Show how you're working through me. God, show me how you're going to make life better, how you're going to make the world better. God, how you're going to use me to change other people's lives. Give me a dream. Because that dream is what's going to get you through the days where you just don't want to live anymore. It's that dream that's going to keep you going. And it's never going to be about you. It's always going to be about other people. Because life isn't really worth living if you're not making a difference for somebody else. That really is why you're here, is to make life better, more meaningful, more beautiful for somebody else. That is when you find the deepest sense of purpose and meaning, when somebody looks at you and says, thank you. I had a guy send me a text a few weeks ago. It was crazy, like out of nowhere. He just sends me this text, and he said, thank you, yada, yada, yada. If I had a dad like you growing up, there's no telling what I could have accomplished. And I sat there, and I just started crying. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, and all of you have that impact on somebody somewhere in life. Maybe they haven't said it yet, but somebody out there you probably have had an impact on. So here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to say thank you to somebody who has made a difference in your life, because you may be the fulfillment of their dream. So everybody needs a dream for life. If we don't dream, we drift. But there are obstacles that get in the way all the time. How many of you had somebody tell you, well, you're not good enough? Well, I just don't think you're cut out for that. Well, I think that dream's just too big. I mean, you need to be realistic. I mean, that's a little ridiculous. There's no way that's going to happen. And those are called giants or dream busters in your life. There's always somebody. There's always the naysayer. There's always the negative person. There's always the pessimist to pull you down, right? Just when you pull yourself up by the bootstraps, just when you start getting excited about something, then that one person comes along and says, oh my. There's always the Eeyore in your life, right? There's always somebody to come along to try to pop that bubble. And there's a great story about that in the Bible that God's given us. And it's the story of David and Goliath in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 1 through 52. But we're only going to read about 7 verses here, verses 1 through 7. It says, now the Philistines had gathered their forces for war, and they occupied one hill, and the Israelites another, with a valley between them. Now this is one of the most beautiful, beautiful places of that area of the country. And you got to understand, in that time of warfare, the reason they were having this standoff was because one was up on this ridge and one was up on this ridge. In order for one to make the attack, they would have to come down, go across this valley, and then up through these ridges and up over here on top. Well, the second that you came down in that valley, what did you do to your army? You totally exposed your entire army for them to come down and slaughter you. So they didn't want to come down, and they didn't want to come down. So here was the standoff like this, because for either one to make the first move and come down in that valley could mean certain destruction. And so that's where they were. It says the valley between them. And then a champion named Goliath from Gath came out of the Philistine camp. And he was a giant of a man, over 9 feet tall. Now some other translations say over 7 feet tall. There's discrepancy there. Either way, he was at least 7 feet tall, maybe taller, as much as 9 feet tall. And the tallest man in the world on record was 8 feet 11. So I don't have to have that to believe this is true. But there is modern occurrences of people getting 8 foot 11. And it's usually because of a condition called giantism, where you have a tumor that grows on your pituitary gland. Everybody say pituitary. You say, okay. Pituitary gland, and it causes an increase of the human growth hormone, okay? And y'all didn't think I was smart. Anyway, so I just read it from my notes. So anyway, so here was this guy. He was wearing a huge bronze helmet and a coat of bronze armor that weighed over 125 pounds. That's more than some of you weigh. His armor weighed more than some of you. And he also wore bronze leggings, and he slung a huge bronze javelin over his back, and just the spearhead, the iron spearhead on the end of his javelin alone weighed 15 pounds. And a soldier with a large shield always walked in front of Goliath. It's an amazing story. This is one of the most famous stories in the Bible. People that have never even read the Bible talk about, use this analogy of, facing a giant, right? Goliath and David. David and Goliath. David the underdog, and Goliath the monster. There's no way that David can win, but David comes through. And so this is a famous story. So we're going to learn some principles from this of these dream busters, these things that happen in your life. So the first principle is this: there's always a delay. There's always going to be a delay between your dream and that dream becoming a reality. In my life, I believe God gave me a dream to some degree when I was 10 years old. I wrote a letter when I was 10 years old that I was going to be a pastor one day. Well, I wasn't a pastor when I was 12. If God gave me the dream when I was 10, I didn't become a lead pastor until just a year and a half ago when we started Journey Church. But that was a dream God put in my heart. And if I'm honest, I ran from that dream for a long time. I avoided that dream for a long time. The pull was so strong I couldn't stay away from serving and from helping. And so when I was 17 years old, I started teaching a middle school Bible study, and as a servant leader, as a volunteer in a local church. And I just kept doing and leading and serving and volunteering all the way up until I was 23, and then I was hired to be a youth pastor when I was 23, and then I went to seminary when I was about 25, and then God could give me these opportunities. And here was the deal. I saw these guys, who were the lead pastors, and I saw their lives, and I saw what they did, and I saw their struggles, and I from a distance I went, I don't know if I want that. Those guys give up way too much. They put up with way too much. I don't know how they do what they do. I'll just stay over here. Youth ministry's fun, and I love these kids, and I'm going to be a youth pastor for the rest of my life. I used to say that, but God wouldn't leave me alone, and there was this other opportunity, and I came to Linear Hills and became an associate pastor there, and God kept putting that dream in my heart, and He said, I told you this a long time ago. It's what you're going to. I know, but that's too much responsibility. I don't want that. It's just too much. And then as I grew and got older and matured, and then finally, God put me here. And I'll be honest, it's terrifying. It scares me to death to be, the lead pastor here, because the truth is, I'm not qualified. The truth is, I'm not cut out for it. I don't think anybody is. A leadership is this amazing, beautiful, complicated thing that is just a journey of growth and process and failure and success and learning and learning and learning. What is that dream in your heart that God's given you that maybe happened a long time ago, and maybe you have forgotten about it, and maybe you think it's not going to happen, but you forget there's always a delay between the dream and the reality. There was a guy named Jesse who had, I think, seven sons, 7 or 8 sons. I think it was 7 sons. And David was one of those sons. And Samuel, this prophet Samuel, comes to Jesse and says, hey, I need to see your sons because I think one of them may be the next king of Israel. And he's like, oh, okay, great. So he brings out 6 of his sons, the older, strapping, strong guys. He brings them out, and Samuel looks, interviews them all. He goes, nope, not that guy. Nope, not that guy. Not that guy. He goes all the way down. He goes, hey, you got any more sons? He goes, well, yeah, I got one more, but that's David. You don't want to see David. He's just a little scrawny shepherd boy. You don't want David. He goes, no, bring him in. I want to see him. David walks in. He goes, boop, that's the guy. Yep. Hey, David, guess what? You're going to be the next king of Israel. And then you know what happened the next day? Jesse looks at David and goes, okay, back out into the fields and shepherd your sheep. And so David goes back out and starts shepherding sheep. The prophet Samuel, the prophet from God, just told David he's going to be the next king of Israel. It didn't happen like that. There was the dream, but then there was this delay. A lot of things happened before David finally became the king of Israel, like slaying Goliath. And here's the thing. Some of the people that will be the biggest obstacles in your life and to your dream will be the people that love you the most. It was David's own dad that held him back. Now, David was the youngest of Jesse's, 8 sons, not 7. His 3 older brothers enlisted in Saul's army, but David was held back to care for the sheep in Bethlehem. There's always going to be somebody to try to hold you back. And it very well may be the people who love you the most. Number 2, discouragement. You see, everyone was afraid. Goliath was this formidable force. I mean, he was ferocious. He was terrified. Can you imagine this guy walking up to the top of this ridge and standing up there? And from a distance, they could tell that they had never seen a human being this big before. And there was nobody that was going to take him on. And Goliath didn't want to just, get out a bow and fight from a distance. No, Goliath, he was yelling out, come to me. Come to me so I can feed your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. He wanted him right front and center so he could destroy him, rip him apart limb to limb, and feed him to the animals. Now, how many of you would have been on the other ridge going, come on, Matt, I'm an MMA fighter. I'll take him on. I mean, who would actually do that? Now, I may think about it if I had my bow and arrow, right? I could slam with a bow and arrow from a distance. But hand-to-hand combat with Goliath? No, thank you. That was certain death. And so everybody was afraid. And here's the thing. When God gives you a dream for your life and what He wants you to do, there are going to be people around you that are going to be afraid for you. They're going to be afraid that if you step out and do this, you're going to fall flat on your face. And they get nervous for you. And here's the thing. When you start hanging around a bunch of scaredy cats, you're going to start looking like a scaredy cat. If you hang around negative people, you're going to start becoming negative. If you hang around fearful people, you're going to start being fearful. If you hang around people who act like Eeyore, then you're going to start sounding like Eeyore. And so the first step may be you may need to find some new friends. You may need to find some people who believe in you, who see potential in you, who realize that there are possibilities here. They don't see what's not, they see what could be. And they see something bigger than that. They realize that if you're convinced that it's God who put this dream in you, well, then that's a different story entirely. If it's God who's calling you to do this, if it's God who's given this to you, well, then let's go. Then let's do this. But there were people that were afraid. See, each day, this went on for like 40 days. Each day, Goliath would stand and shout at the ranks of Israel's army, "Why do you come out here and line up for battle? Choose one man to fight me." And this was historical. It was very common in history for there be this representation of war. You send your most valiant, greatest fighter out. We'll send our valiant, most fierce fighter out. And the winner of those two and that one battle will represent the outcome of this battle. And so we'll save lives here. Men could go back to their wives and children. Let's let these two guys duke it out, and both armies would agree to the outcome. That was not uncommon. And he says, choose one man to fight me. If he's able to kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I kill him, you'll become our subjects and serve us. And day after day, Goliath taunted them, saying, "This day I defy the ranks of Israel." When Saul and the Israelites heard this, everyone was deeply shaken and paralyzed with fear. I was paralyzed with fear when I thought about being a lead pastor and responsible for so much. There's still days where I wake up and I'm literally don't even want to get out of bed when I think about what I'm responsible for. It is paralyzing. It is overwhelming. It is only because God tells me, shows me, gives me grace, humbles me, helps me grow, that I'm able to do what I do. It is not in me to do what God's called me to do. It is only by the Spirit of God. His Spirit has transformed my spirit. He made me a son of God. This is what He told me to do. That's the only reason that I'm able to do. You have to have the same thing. If it's a God dream, if it's a God-sized dream, it is only because God in you that there will be any hope for the dream to have any chance of success. And here's the thing. I would rather dream and go and live and fall on my face than to stay back and listen to the naysayers and listen to my own flesh, my own imposter in my head that holds myself back, right? We talk ourselves out of things. I would rather dream and go and give it all I've got and fall on my face than to live a life in fear and regrets and talk about the what ifs and the coulda and the shouldas and the wouldas. To me, I am far more afraid of not going and not doing than giving it all and failing. You see that? See, it is this fear of failure that is so destructive in our culture. And here at Journey, I want us to have a culture at Journey where we foster imagination, we foster innovation, we foster new ideas, and we celebrate failure. Hey, you went for it. You gave it a go. Yeah, but I failed. No, it's okay because now we all know not to try what you tried, man. Thank you for that. You're amazing because we ain't never going to try that again. But that's a good thing. Let's celebrate failure. Imagine if the generation behind us could live in such a way that they embraced failure. They weren't afraid to try stuff and just see what could be. You know, the sound barrier would have never been broken if people had listened to the naysayers. Oh, it can't be done. But they did. Well, you can never put a man on the moon. That's not possible. But we did. Well, there's no way that you can have 1,000 songs in your pocket. You can't put that many cassettes in your pocket. That's ridiculous. I mean, how big would your pants have to be? You can't put that many CDs on your person. That's not possible. You have to carry this backpack with all these CDs. But they did. There's no way that you'll be able to pull up a screen and look at somebody face to face and talk to them. That's like Star Trek-ish. But we do. Imagine what wouldn't be if people were afraid of failure. And imagine the possibilities of what can be if you start dreaming again. I guess it's exciting. For 40 days, twice a day, morning and evening, the Philistine giant loudly berated the Israelite army. Who or what is the voice in your head who's berating you and telling you, you can't do this? Who is it that's taunting you and telling that you can't? You know, I had people tell me that. I had people that I loved and trusted and looked up to and said, I just don't think you're cut out for it. But here I am. And we're growing. We're learning. And look at what God has done. There's always going to be somebody in your life who would tell you that you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not cut out for that. But you know what I've learned? Is that they're usually wrong. You know, when Rick Warren wrote his book, The Purpose-Driven Life, you know what they told him? The professionals, the experts, they said, Rick, nobody's going to read a 40-chapter book. And today, The Purpose-Driven Life, the only thing that has sold better than The Purpose-Driven Life is the Bible. Over 34 million copies have been sold. Oftentimes, the experts are wrong. Don't listen to them on everything. As David talked with his brothers on the front line, he saw Goliath start shouting his usual threats to Israel's army when the army heard Goliath, and they all ran away in terror. Number 3, the third dream buster is this: disapproval. You see, we want everyone to like us. Oh my goodness, I still struggle with this. It's so hard. You know, when you put yourself up here and you public speak, you know, you totally just put yourself right out there, right? Because everybody's a critic. You know, I wonder every week. You know, you wonder, you know, can I deliver a good message? And I wonder, would they know a good message if they heard one? Right? I mean, see, when you step out to do something, isn't that the hardest part? Is that you're setting yourself up for people not to like you, for people not to approve of you, for people not to agree with you. Oh, that's been the hardest part. You know, that last year, that first year of journey and going through that, people coming, people leaving. Oh, my goodness, it just tore me up inside. And I struggled with that so much. Why? Because it's personal. And people say, don't take it personal. Well, how do you do that? I'm not a freaking robot. I'm a human being, and I have emotions. And I'm an emotional guy, if you haven't noticed. And I'm passionate. But it's also my weakness, right? And many times your greatest strength, your greatest asset could also be part of your weakness. But that's okay, because that's how God made you. It's who you are. But see, God is growing you. God's growing me. And I'm just at a better place now. Because I love you, but I don't care as much about what you think about me. Because it's not about me. See, I'm just a pizza delivery boy. I'm just here to do God's work, deliver God's message. If you want the pizza, great. If you don't, that's fine. I'm a son of God. And if you disagree with God's word, that's an issue you have with God, not with me. You see that? And you know what? There are thousands of churches in the area. And I believe that we need more church plants. I believe that it takes all kinds of churches to reach all kinds of people. And so, see, when people leave, I celebrate now. I go, wonderful. I'm praying that God has a better place for them that's more in line with the vision he's given them. And now I can say, no, can I pray for you? I support you in that. And it's so much more freeing because I'm not living for people's approval anymore. What does that look like in your life? Where is it that you're struggling, that you're so concerned about what somebody thinks that that's the thing that's holding you back? What is that? Who is it in your life that you're given permission to dictate what you dream, what you don't dream, what you do, and what you don't do? Who is it that you're giving that kind of control to? And why? Why would you give somebody that kind of control in your life? And I've done it. I've done it so many times. But God is setting me free. God will set you free from that. All of David's brothers questioned his motives. You see, they thought he was being cocky when David said, I'll do it. I'll go. And you can imagine what his big, strong brothers were thinking. Oh, who do you think you are? Oh, big, tough little David. You're going to go out here and fight Goliath? Oh, you think you're the man. Well, it's interesting. None of them had volunteered up to this point. But the second little David volunteers, now they begin to berate him and tear him down instead of build him up. Or maybe even be convicted and really step up and be a leader as an older brother and go, no, David. I'm the oldest. I should go. You don't see that in the story, do you? David was willing. See, there's a difference between being cocky and arrogant and being confident. I believe David was confident in the Lord. If God put this in David's heart, then it would be more sinful for David to cower away than it would be to step up and say, I'll go. It is not cocky and arrogant to receive a dream from God and step out when everybody's stepping back and say, I'll go. Because that's what leadership is about. When everybody else is walking away, when everybody says it can't be done, the leader steps forward and says, yes, it can. I'll take the lead. Go with me. Let's do this. And we're all here today because you went, because you came, because you give. And how many lives have been changed for eternity because you believe that we needed another church plant called Journey Church? And how many more lives will be changed in the future because you were obedient to go? I just don't think there's a better way to live. I don't think there's anything greater to live for than that. And then David asked, what's the reward for killing this Philistine? You ever asked that? So if I do this, God, what's in it for me? Hey, it's a logical human question, right? So what's the reward for killing this Philistine and ending this disgraceful abuse? And when David's older brother heard this, he burned with anger at David and said, why are you even here anyway? And why aren't you taking care of your scrawny little flock of sheep? Anybody ever had sibling rivalry like this before? No, this never happened to you? Okay. He says, you cocky little brat. I know how conceited you are. Now what? And then David says, well, now what have I done? Can I even ask a question? And you know what the reward was? This is pretty cool. The reward is that you would have this great honor and favor to the king. I think you would get to have the king's daughter in marriage, and you would never have to pay taxes again for the rest of your life. I saw the look in your eyes. You're thinking, well, how am I to fall Goliath for that? No, you wouldn't. Number 4, and then there's doubt. Am I capable and up to this task? You see, here's the thing. You're always going to be your worst critic. Nobody's going to be harder on you than you. Nobody's harder on me than me. Nobody critiques me more on Monday than I do. It's just the nature of the beast. You see, you're going to ask yourself, am I capable? Am I up to the task? In and of yourself, no, you're not. But if the Spirit of God is in you and He's given you a dream, then yes, you can. Yes, you can. If it's all about you, then no. But if it's all about God and what He wants and His will and His plan and about others, well, then yes. Then go. Don't worry about a thing, David told the king. I'll fight this Philistine. Don't be ridiculous, Saul replied. There's no way you can go against this Philistine. You're only a boy, and he's been a professional warrior all his life. And David goes, well, I have killed a lion. I killed a bear. I mean, I'm not pathetic. And that's true. You read the story of David, he was formidable. I mean, he had skills. He just wasn't big in stature. And how many times have we seen that happen? So how do you defeat the giants? I'm going to hit these real quick. Number one, remember how God's helped you in the past. Remember how God's helped you in the past. Can't you sit down and take a pen or pencil and a piece of paper and begin to write down what God has done? You know, if you're type A driven, this is something you have to discipline yourself to do. I was having a conversation with one of our servant leaders this morning, and I was talking about how, you know, I'm type A driven and I'm so results focused, and I get stuck in thinking about things that haven't been done yet instead of looking at what has been done. And he stopped and he goes, wait a minute, Trey. He says, think about what we've accomplished and what's been done. And he just began to rattle things off, and I went, wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. We need to celebrate, because when you're so driven, you're so focused on what's not that you forget to celebrate what is and what God has done. And you need to stop and celebrate that. This week, you need to stop, take out a piece of paper and a pen and start and talk to God and say, God, show me. Show me the things I've forgotten that you've done in my life. Show me where I've come to you, where you've come through for me. God, show me where you've been made real in my life, and begin to write down these bullet points. And all of a sudden, your faith will grow again. Your confidence will grow again. And that may be the very thing that you need to propel you into the dream that God's given you in your life. Maybe that's what you need to take the next step. Number two, use the tools God has given me now. You've got skills. You've got abilities. You've got passion. Your heart beats for something. There's always something wrong in the world that needs to be made right. And maybe you're the person that God wants to use to make it right, to bring change. You do have what it takes in Christ. And here's the thing. You're not going to have everything all at once. I met with Dr. Smiley this week at Lakewood. You know, he's been a pastor for, 35 years. And I thought, I want to go hang out with him. You know, here, I'm 41. This is the first time I had this responsibility. And I want to hang out with guys who have been there and have learned. And I spent an hour and a half with him, and it was amazing. I learned more in an hour and a half with him than I learned at the last conference I went to. And I'm going to go hang out with him again because, see, he's at a place in his life where he's wondering if there's anything left for him to do. Because he may be beginning to think that his race is coming to an end career-wise. But when I went and sat in front of him, you know what happened? His eyes lit up and he realized that there's a new race for him to run. And that's pouring in to younger guys like me. Isn't that the way it's supposed to work? It was beautiful because I said, I need you. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I need you. I need your wisdom. I need to know how I need to work through this. And I got this. And how do I handle this? And man, he was right there because he's already been there. It was amazing. You see, there's always a new adventure for you. Maybe you're here this morning in your 60s or 70s and you're thinking that you're coming to an end. No. This is where a new race begins for you. It's where a new adventure begins because the younger generation needs to. And listen, we're not all bad like some people think that we are. We're hungry for the generation above us to pour back into us. I'm hungry for godly men to pour back into me. It's invaluable. It's priceless. Number 3, ignore the dream buster. Ignore the dream busters. Did you know that there wasn't a single person that encouraged David? Not one person, but it didn't stop him. You may have to coach yourself. You may have to, in your spirit, talk to the Spirit of God and say, okay, God, nobody's supporting me here. I don't know what's next. God, I need you to help me take this next step. God, remind me that you gave me this dream. This is what I'm supposed to do. You may have to ignore the dream busters and just talk to God and coach yourself into the next step. That's what David did. And number 4, expect God to help me for his glory. David shouted to Goliath, you come at me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord Almighty. See, David didn't come out and say, you know, they think I'm small and scrawny, But I'm going to come out here and show you what this little boy can do. I'm going to kick your butt. He didn't have short man's disease, you know what I'm saying? He was confident in God. He didn't make it about him. He didn't come out there with his insecurity. He didn't come out there with his... He came out there with confidence and gave glory to God. He said, in the name of God, I'm going to kick your butt. That's what he said. That's awesome. It says, today the Lord will conquer you. He didn't say, today I'm going to conquer you. And the whole world will know, I love this part, that there is a God. Guys, don't you worry. Listen, don't you worry. Don't you worry about this world. God is in control. He will make his name known. He will do whatever he wants to do, the way he wants to do it, when he wants to do it, and through whoever he wants to do it through. He can use any leader like a puppet anytime he wants. Look what he did with Pharaoh. God will make himself known. He already has, and he continues to. Don't be fooled. Don't live in fear. Don't you worry about culture and politics. You focus on God. You run to him, and you say it out loud to yourself when you're trembling in fear and paralyzed about what you think is going to happen to your economy. And you put your faith in God, and you remember that you are for him, that that's what you're here for. And you love people, and you respect and honor people, even people that you don't agree with still deserve respect and honor. Don't lower yourself to a different standard. You rise above, and you be the son and daughter of God that he's called you to be, and you show honor and respect. He says, and everyone will know that the Lord doesn't need weapons to rescue his people. The Lord doesn't need the right president to rescue his people. It is his battle, not ours. So chill. The Lord will give you to us. You get excited about what is to come. Don't you worry about what is. So what are you expecting God to do in your life? Dan, as you come on back up, let me give you a new interpretation of this story that I think may surprise you. There's been a whole new book written on this by a guy named Malcolm. I forget his last name. But there's some anomalies in this story that we have missed. Why is it that Goliath looks at David and says, why do you come at me with sticks? David didn't have sticks, he had a staff. And why was it that Goliath always walked out and he had a shield bearer that always walked in front of him if he was so powerful and formidable? You see, we have overestimated David's power and ability. We have underestimated David's power and ability and made him the underdog, and we have overestimated Goliath. Because here's what, there's been a whole group of medical experts who have looked into this and gone, wait a minute, read the story again. And here's what we believe happened. We believe now, based on what we've observed, is that Goliath had acromegaly. Acromegaly is the condition of giantism. He had a tumor on his pituitary gland that was causing increase of the human growth hormone that caused him to get so big. You ever heard of Andre the Giant, the Canadian wrestler? That's what he had. The tallest guy in the world and made it to 8'11", that's what he had. And here's what's interesting. The reason that Goliath looked at David and said, why do you come at me with sticks, is because he had double vision. Because here's what happens. When that tumor gets so big, it puts pressure on your optic nerves that go from your brain to your eyes, and it impairs your vision. And the reason that Goliath had this guy walking with him all the time is because he couldn't see where he was going. And the reason that he was up on this hill and they made him look so formidable is the Philistine army, they knew that Goliath was not what he appeared to be. And it was only from a distance that he could maintain his fear and awe and intimidation of the people. And the reason that he told David, come to me, come, why? Because he couldn't see him unless he was standing right here. There was no way he could kill a small statured guy unless he got close enough for him to do so. So maybe David wasn't the underdog. And maybe those dream busters and those giants in your life are full of it. And maybe they're not as big and formidable as you're making them out to be. Because here's what we know. That David was an expert marksman with a sling. Guys, this wasn't a slingshot. If a slingshot was a deadly weapon, then most parents would be dead today, right? This was a sling. Guys, this thing rotated about 6 times per second. There was a velocity of about 36 meters per second. So at the distance here, this object would have propelled itself. It would have struck Goliath in less than a second. And that would have been a big deal because the guy had double vision. He had giantism. He wasn't that great. He just had the intimidation factor. They said that based on the rock, this it's called some kind of bulgaric sulfate. It was a very dense rock that occurs in that area geologically, that it would have had the same stopping power as a .44 Magnum. And the accuracy, it is historically known that the accuracy of these guys, they called them slingers, that they could take a bird and flight down with their weapon. So it was nothing for David to take his sling and swing it at 36 meters per second and hit Goliath square between the eyes. And I love this. And Goliath comes down and hits the ground. And David runs out and takes his sword. And he cuts his head off. Why aren't you reading the Bible? It's freaking awesome. If you think it's boring, you obviously hadn't read it yet. I'm not making this stuff up. It's in there. There is a giant in your life that is intimidating you, that you need to walk up to, and subconsciously in your mind, you need to take its head off. You need to be intimidated no more. And you need to remember who you are. Because as it turns out, we're not the underdogs after all. Oh, you're a Christian. Straight up I am. I'm a Christ follower. I'm a son of God. I'm holy. I'm secure. I'm loved. I'm accepted. I don't need your approval in my life. God's already given it to me. And I have come in the name of the Lord to love you and to serve you and to give you the truth, to give you the gospel. There's good news that there is a God. He has a son who died for you. There is a way that brings life and fulfillment and peace and meaning. And his name is Jesus Christ. And that's why I'm here. You are not the underdog in this culture. You are not the underdog in this thing we call politics. You are not the underdog. David was a formidable force. He had an amazing, lethal weapon. He had the Spirit of the Lord. Turns out Goliath was the underdog. You never heard the story like that before, had you? You got to look at the anomalies and go, what's going on? You got to look at the anomalies in your life and go, what's going on here? Because there's a bigger purpose, and God wants you to be a part of it. So I want you to stand, and I want you to sing, and I want you to act like that you are the son and daughter of God that he's created you to be. I want you to stop walking around in fear. Stop walking around thinking you can't. Stop walking around thinking that if I try this, I'm going to fail. You know what? Embrace failure, because that's how we learn. That's how we grow. What is it that you need to call out in your life this week? What dream buster do you need to eliminate this week? Let's sing. And I'll be up here to encourage you.
The splendor of a king, clothed in majesty, let all the earth rejoice, let all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, and darkness tries to hide, and trembles at his voice, and trembles at his voice. And how great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. And all will see how great, and how great is our God. Age to age he stands, and time is in his hands. Beginning and the end, beginning and the end. The Godhead, three in one. Father, Spirit, Son, the Lion and the Lamb, the Lion and the Lamb. And how great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. And all will see how great, and how great is our God. Name above all names. Name above all names. Worthy of all praise. My heart will sing how great is our God. Name above. Name above all names. Worthy of all praise. My heart will sing how great is our God. How great is our. Sing with me. And all will see. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. And all will see how great is our God.
As we go into this time of continued worship, I want you to ask God what he wants you to do next, what he wants you to give. I'm just always reminded that giving is truly an act of worship. When we think about this Christianity thing, we've been called to die to ourselves. And Paul said in Philippians 1:21, to live is Christ and to die is gain. You come into this world with nothing, you'll leave this world with nothing, but you do have an opportunity to gain this relationship with your Creator through His Son, Jesus Christ. And so our time on earth is just simply, well, it's just simply a moment. It's just a moment in eternity. And in this moment, God gives us an opportunity to show our allegiance to Him. And that's why giving is an act of worship. So right now, I want you to ask God, God, what do you want me to give? What do you want me to do? Because I want to worship you. God, I want you to know that I don't serve money, I serve you. So I want to give back a portion to your local church as an act of worship. And then give. And ask God to give you joy in that. Ask God to set you free from materialism, from greed, from the love of money. That you will not walk in the ways of the world, that you will walk in the ways of Christ. The God-man who came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. That thousands upon thousands would be transformed by the spirit of radical, scandalous grace and be set free from their past and from the sins of their future and be transformed into sons and daughters of God. That's why we give. That's why we worship. Father, use these gifts for your glory. God, set us free. Set us free from a culture of greed and materialism. We want you to be our God. In Jesus' name, amen. So as you give this morning, thank you for worshiping, because that's what it is. When you give, it is a spiritual decision. Use this communication card, finish filling that out real quick. Put that in the basket so we can begin a friendship with you. If we don't know you, we have no chance to disciple you. But if you want us to disciple you and lead you and help you grow and embrace you, then we need to know who you are and how we can contact you and connect with you. So that's what that's about, worshiping God. Ushers, if you'll take that up now. Thank you for worshiping God. If you're not familiar with the app PushPay, I don't know if you have a slide for that or not, but you can give with a check or PushPay. I love using PushPay because it's so simple, so easy. But John, raise your hand. There it is. John can help you with PushPay if you want more information about that at the end of the service. And Kayla, oh, that was awesome. Did you see that? See, Kayla, we need your generation. Could you come and set my VCR? You ain't taking my VCR. I got one of those phones at the house where you put your finger in these holes and you do this. Y'all don't even know what that is. It's amazing. So, hey, go on a 2-minute mission trip. And Lauren, what do? Go to Journey Facebook page? Is that how we do it? No, to share about Journey this morning. Yeah. We need to get you to show us how to do that one Sunday morning. We'll make that a thing one Sunday morning, because I'm not even that techie. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Here's what we got coming up. Don't forget, this Wednesday night starts Man Fire Girl Study, but book club, and children and youth. Yeah, don't worry about if you can't get the book. Just come on, okay? Next Sunday, all right? Next Sunday we're having our big egg hunt. I know, I'm excited too, right? And we're gonna be having cookout. So I need someone who will bring some baked beans next week, next Sunday. Somebody bring baked beans. Okay, we got some baked beans here. Slaw, with lots of mayo. Please don't skip on the mayo. It's not slaw if it didn't have. Okay. And potato chips. We need like Lay's, regular barbecue, potato chips. Yeah, y'all bring potato chips. What else do we need? Pasta salad with like olives, tomatoes in there. You like that? Okay, you got some of that. So be sure and bring sides. We're going to provide hot dogs and burgers, right? If I got that right, Lynn? Are you still in this? Are we providing hot dogs and hamburgers? Okay, yeah, okay. And buns and sweet tea? Yes. And so that's next Sunday. Don't forget, that's next Sunday, all right? Then the following Sunday is Easter. I know, it comes early this year. So you need to be inviting, okay, and serving and loving people. Come next Sunday. Be inviting people to come for Easter Sunday, all right? It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited. All right, let's stand up. And remember to use your tool. You've got the tool right here to invite right there. So maybe go around your subdivision and take a walk and invite your friends and neighbors to come and be a part of Journey. Post it on your Facebook page, however you do that. It's a good day. All right, you ready? Let's go.